concerns voiced by Jamaica Coalition for a Healthy Society caused the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to delay the signing of the SAMOA agreement.
But other civil society organizations are urging the government to sign the agreement.
Philippa Davis is an advocacy officer at the Jamaica Coalition for a Healthy Society against the signing of the agreement in its current state.
And we also have Carol Narcisse, who is a civil society advocate for the signing. So it's going to be a great discussion this morning. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, welcome to Smile Jamaica. So Philippa is closest to us, and you are saying no, under condition, and you are saying yes.
Yes.
Let me start with you. Why no?
Well, since 2021, for the last 27 months, JCHS and 7 other local NGOs had approached the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, asking them a simple question. What do these words mean in the context of this new ACPA agreement? The words are human rights, sexual and reproductive health and rights, gender, hate speech, non-discrimination. Now you might say, well, don't those words mean what they're supposed to mean? Well, we would think so, but what has been happening in recent years is that certain developed countries and international entities like the EU and the UN have been adding a new interpretation, a controversial interpretation that can undermine our fundamental freedom. So I'll give you an example.
Let me jump in 1 second. Controversial to whom?
Controversial, well, let me give you the example and you'll see how.
Okay.
A member of parliament in Finland tweeted on her personal Twitter feed her objection to her church supporting the LGBT march in Helsinki, in the city of Finland. And she added a Bible scripture. And all of a sudden, she was charged with hate speech for simply expressing her freedom of expression and quoting from the Bible. She spent 3 years in criminal court. She was acquitted. But the point was that she couldn't express her freedom of expressing an opinion. One last example, just to conclude this point. A math teacher in England, all-girls school. He says in the class after a test, well done, girls. But there's a girl who is going through some confusion, thinks that she's a boy, and reported the teacher. He's then hauled before the Teaching Regulation Authority on disciplinary charges, and he's fired for professional misconduct because he misgendered this student. Now you might say, well, that's extreme, we don't want to go down there. Exactly. But what has happened, those ordinary Brits and ordinary Finns didn't realize that these controversial interpretations were being brought into law and policy. And then they woke up one morning and words have been weaponized against them. They no longer can use them in their ordinary and truthful sense. And so we said to Foreign Affairs, are you aware of these developments internationally? We don't want that to come through this international agreement. So please be aware and make a statement, a declaration, a reservation to say that those interpretations will not be applied in the Jamaican policy space.
Okay.
Okay, Carol, you are saying, let's go ahead and sign.
Yes.
Yes.
So I so appreciate my sister, Philippa, and colleagues who are doing what citizens are to do. If your government is making a policy decision, you want to have an input. And so I respect their input. But the challenge we have, first, it's not a challenge, it's a wonderful opportunity. The wonderful opportunity is that governments of the world for the last 50 years have been in conversation together through the United Nations especially, and have been forging agreements, hard-won agreements, you know, highly contested because you're talking about countries with different cultures and governance methods and so on. And although there is that variety, these governments over the last many years have been able to negotiate agreements. It means that they have put in words, taken out words, cross out line, and fought over it until they could find language that they can live with. Now, these language are now in well-established, they're not mysterious, well-established documents. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights, for example, and all the rights instruments that exist that our government has signed on to for a very long time. There have been several conferences of the UN over the years, one of which is the Conference on Population and Development. In that conference, language about yours and mine, sexual and reproductive rights. What do those words mean? Those words mean that you have a right as a human being not to be coerced, not to be forced into marriage, to be able to enjoy your sexual self and your sexuality and so on and so forth. So all of these, contrary to what the Jamaica Coalition has said in their document, they have said that these are unspecified rights. They are not. They are very specified, and the SAMOA agreement, which is a document up for discussion, says exactly which instruments they are affirming. Right? So the Universal Declaration on Human Rights, the agreements coming out of the UN on women and women's empowerment and the empowerment of girls, etc., etc. So none of this is vague.
So the document says these words are defined by these. That's what it says.
We commit to the provisions of, and they name the documents that they're committing to. So it's not at all vague.
Yeah, Ms. Davis, a couple of times you went like this thing just now.
Right.
What would make your group happy? What kind of change do you want? Do you want them to take out these words, specify exactly what it means, as Ms. Narcisse just said? What exactly do you want?
Right. Unfortunately, there is no glossary in the agreement to say that these are what the words mean. And yes, it is true that there are various agreements that exist, but this is what I'm saying. The language has changed. The interpretation, rather, of those words have changed. And so it is important for us to be clear as to what they mean. And if you look at the European Parliament's instructions to their negotiators in 2018, they insisted that there must be in the human rights mandate of the ACP agreement must explicitly include freedom from discrimination on sexual orientation and gender identity, which, by the way, is not accepted. There's no international consensus. Let me finish, please.
Yes.
There's no international consensus accepting those words in any international forum.
Right.
Because
however,
it speaks to the LGBT.
are not in the document to be signed. So let's be clear. Let's represent properly and accurately.
That's what I am doing, Ms. Narcisse.
It's not in the document. But anyway.
Can I finish my point, please?
Wait 1 second.
But I haven't finished making my
The
point.
issue is the issue of discrimination. Is the coalition advocating that there are some citizens of Jamaica with whom they may have a disagreement about what choices they make in their lives, what expression they have as human beings? Are they suggesting that the Jamaican government should explicitly disagree with a call to non-discrimination against anyone?
Yep. Finish it.
Allow her to.
Right, and we've never ever said that, because the person that she's referring to, the LGBT community, we have always said that they enjoy the same human rights and freedoms that you and I enjoy and have always done so. But the advocacy of the LGBT activist is to add new rights that actually undermine existing freedoms that you and I have.
Tell me exactly what you want.
So what we have said to Foreign Affairs for the last 27 months, can you please say exactly what these words mean? We know what the EU intends. We know what they have said in their various resolutions and policy documents. What do you understand these words to mean? Was there an agreement or a meeting of a mind? If what you say conflicts with what your partner has said, where is the public statement that this is not going to be brought into Jamaican law and policy, and that clarity? Can I just add one other point where we made mention of what happened in 2012 with the HFLE. Comprehensive Sexuality Education is a sexualizing curriculum. And this was what happened in 2012 when the ministry then rewrote the curriculum in order to not have CSC. This agreement wants countries to bring it back in. And we asked Foreign Affairs, what are you going to do to safeguard the curriculum so that Jamaican children are not required under international agreement to be taught this sexualizing grooming material? And I noticed that your petition is absolutely silent on that. Are you in support of CSC coming back into the school curriculum?
In Jamaica, our children are involved in sexual activity from the age of 13, 14. Who and where should they go for accurate information, for age-appropriate information, for information with which they can make good decisions about their lives? And health and family life curriculum is just such an opportunity and a space for accurate information to these 12-year-olds and 13-year-olds who we may want to bury our heads in the sand, are sexually active and have very limited knowledge of the appropriate things to do. So this is what the curriculum is trying to do. But let me just say very quickly.
That's not true.
Let me just say very quickly. There is nothing coercive in the SAMOA agreement. It is the latest in a series of agreements that Jamaica has signed and other ACP countries, 79 ACP countries.
So I want to ask this, Carol,
over
because
decades,
we're running out of time.
Over decades,
Philippa,
nothing new.
What would work for you? Are you suggesting, it sounds to me, like you want some kind of a position statement?
Philippa wants us to renege on the agreement Jamaica has signed.
Hold on, Carol.
Jamaica has signed the agreement.
I think they're putting words in her mouth. I'm asking Philippa, is it that you're saying you would like a position statement from the ministry to say, these are what the terms mean to us, and this is what we're agreeing to. Right. And if that is so, Carol, what's wrong with the position statement?
Well, the position statements are articulated in all the programs of action to which Jamaica is a signatory.
To say, we are signatory, this is what we have agreed to, and here is a statement to say this is what we are agreeing to.
But the statement on what we are agreeing to is well documented in the draft text, which Jamaica, by the way, has been a part of the negotiations for the last 3 years and has been part of the negotiations for the last 40 years. So unless we're saying that our government
that we're going to sign,
we're
signing based on the past 3 years, that this is what it means.
Well, what Philippa and her colleagues would like us to say is that we will not sign something that says that we will acknowledge the human rights of our LGBT community. They want them to explicitly say that.
Is that what
they want them to explicitly? Okay.
No, we clearly said this is what these words mean. That's what we're already asking. We know that these words are subject to controversial interpretations.
But there are no such words in the document.
But they are, Carol.
No, they are not.
I have a copy of the agreement here. You want me to point it out and show you where the words are?
What?
The words? No. Non-discrimination, gender, hate speech, non-sexual reproductive health and rights.
So are you proposing that gender discrimination is appropriate?
What is gender? Is it male and female, or is it men who feel that they're women and women who feel that they're men? Because that is how the European Union interprets it. Is that how we interpret it in Jamaica?
No, it's not. That's why we have our own laws.
That's why we're asking the Jamaican government to state clearly, this is what we understand the words to mean, this is what our negotiating partner says the words mean, this is a position that we stand. It's just clarity.
I have one more question. If you could answer, because the signing should take place today.
Actually, it was yesterday.
It was yesterday.
Yeah, they're 18 hours ahead.
So can we sign still?
Well, they haven't, and Jamaica is not alone.
Can we
yes. There's still an open period within which they can sign, certainly. Yeah. But all we're asking is for the government to state very clearly, this is what we understand these words to mean, this is what they have said the words to mean. There's no meeting of minds on this. We can proceed on the agreement, which is beneficial to our countries, but we will not have this be introduced into law and policy and the school curriculum in Jamaica.
A quick last word.
Right. There is nothing in the agreement that gets automatically introduced into law in any individual country. Each individual country retains its sovereignty. It is a broad framework that sets out what we hope will be the way we will live in the world, that allows every single citizen of the world to not be discriminated against, to not be excluded from education, employment, you name it.
Yes. We have to go. Time has gone. But I want to say, never as the last word, I want to say thank you both for being as passionate as you are about your point, because this is what we need, discussion and debate in Jamaica to move forward. Thank you.
Thanks for the opportunity.
By the way, I'm reading here that some organizations in Jamaica have said sign, Institute for Gender and Development Studies at UE, Jamaica Environment Trust,
organizations,
Jamaicans for Justice, Jamaican Aid Support for Life, Jamaica Community of Positive Women, Jamaica Network of Positives, Caribbean Vulnerable Communities Coalition, Eve for Life. A lot of them have said yes. So
right. Well, the NGO. The JCHS and 7 NGOs also represent hundreds of thousands of Jamaican citizens.
That's what
democracy is. Advocacy Officer, Jamaica Coalition for a Healthy Society, Ms. Philippa Davis, and Civil Society Advocate, Ms. Carol Narcisse.
All right. Coming up after this, actress Joanne Williams talks about her Black Cake drama series experience. We'll soon come.